Alright, as always, learning to bind our souls together to pledge God haste and redemption, and further the Rebbe's Malchus. And we're learning the Maamar on Yud Beis Yud Gimel Tammuz from 1969, I believe. And set on Shabbos Parshas Chudas Balak. Title of the Maamar is Daber Hashem Moshe Lemor. We're talking about Moshe's prayer, and Moshe's prayer is a rich man. And Moshe has everything, the spiritual, the physical, everything else. And he prays from an essential state where there's just no such thing as lacking. A person can be in a place where there's just no lack. So it's very different than any place we experience on a general basis. We experience ups and downs. It's human beings used to change and up and down and changing environment. But a Jew has access to a place that's beyond all that. That's beyond any changes of space and time, and just everything's full, and there's not even the possibility of lacking. But it feels like a very foreign space for human beings to live in. It's a very empowered space. It's a very good space. To learn to act in this space is tricky. A person can touch it, but then to still be able to move around and run his life and do the things he has to do is tricky. He feels like things need to be accomplished and this and that. To be in that space and keep moving forward, it's a very, I won't say tight, restricted space, but it's a tight space. It's a highly, I can't say organized either. It's just a tight, clear space where there's no lack. It's all black. It's all defense. Everything exists in a state of potential. There's nothing that can really go wrong there. Anyway, Moshe has access to the space of no lacking, and he prays for us to fill our lacks, so thereby he has an aspect, a borrowed aspect, so to speak, of lacking, that he can pray to fulfill our needs. And when Moshe prays for us, he accomplishes great things. Possibly more important than all the blabbity blab is for one to say these words engraved in his soul. They recreate him. They recreate his fiber, his reality. So if a person says these words for enough time, the more grubby he is, the more he needs to say. I need to eat better and exercise better. But it will eventually, and I never think it's more than 15 minutes if you're committed to really dig in, it will change his perspective, his reality, his whole sense of being. Put him in a godly, bittul, default, humble, happy, grateful space. Alright, Ostes. Comes to revelations from upstairs. There's generally 3 levels. Mali Kolom and Sobi Kolom Atsasori and Social Mali Sobi. We have the God, the light that fills the world and gives the particular details to everything we see all around us, makes the towel different than the coffee, different than the coat. Then we have the encompassing light that encompasses all the same and recreates us something from nothing, and doesn't notice our distinctions, but does relate to the concept of world. And then there's just the essential godly light that's beyond world at all. In such a space, the world ceases to exist. The room is just in a state of oneness. The intermediate light, it reacts to us all the same, but acknowledges our differences. To this last light, there's just no difference. There's only God. These also correspond to 3 types of love from the verse, from Shema. What's the love with all your heart, or with all your hearts, meaning including even your base inclination you can get to serve God. That's the light that is tailor-made to every being we see. It makes the purple towel different than the brown towel, etc., etc. Because it's enclosed in the creations in their innermost parts. Maybe it's easier if we pick the towel and the coat. Things with different energies. So it fits right in, it acknowledges all the differences in the world, and it creates those differences, even not just acknowledges, it creates them. So the animal soul can relate to this. He lives in a world of space and time and movements and food and sleep and choices, and so this is a light that he certainly gets. He understands that light is creating him, giving him his particular abilities. And a person shouldn't get too down, God didn't make any mistakes in how he made the animals, so he has his best in mind. He has a plan for him. And he has to trust that God can help him and put him on the right path. What about the love of all your soul? That's the encompassing light. The Kivin She'ora Sove Hu Lamayla Mislavshus Ba'olamus. It's too high to be clothed in the worlds. Okay, now Yiddish Niggas Bo Peladorian. So when one of you feels the wondrousness of that, I guess he can get that too. After Savai, he will open to a serious nefesh. He'll be able to love God in a way of going against the grain. Kol nafshicha, feeling no till nafshicha, even if you should take your soul, God forbid. Shirotz says the kolabarin. So if he wants to go out of himself and be included in the infinite light, I guess animal soul can even sense the opposite of identity and want a part of that. That was the Hirak nefesh of the keys. I'm sorry, only the godly soul experiences that one. It just wants to go out of itself. Yisag will open the Hakara, I'm not sure the balance. Hakara Gasha, Shazdapim via Sagalava, plus only Sophia Holios Rakman after the keys. Because this type of recognition and feeling that brings to this level of love, to a comprehension that leads to love, a love based on the wondrousness of the infinite light of God, that can only happen in the godly soul. Shishoshahi B'Shem Avaya, that her source is in the name of Avaya, which is God the way he exists beyond space and time. He is, he was, he always will be. Sovev. And the Yahweh with all his light is the essential godly light that's higher even than the encompassing light. Because that's the true infinity. But when it comes to Sovev, also seems pretty infinite. It creates everything we see around us, something from nothing, relates to all of us in the same way. Say no, they say no, it's still to some degree limited. It relates to worlds, acknowledges differences, and once we explain how the three loves correspond to the three levels, as we just did, Messiah, we could conclude. Then we move on. And we get all of us. So it corresponds that the encompassing light which the animal soul can get fits in the worlds, and the transcendent light which the godly soul can get transcends worlds, relates to worlds, and the essential light is just beyond, that's true infinity. And it's not in the category of worlds at all. Next paragraph. Sarik Lavin, so we have to understand. L'chora abir v'shaykus the gimel avos the gimel adregus amaylahu alachari avanas and yani gimel adregus mahem shekin yani mamayim mashmadini and zesh gimel adregus elahem gimel avos also abir v'gimel adregus shema v'vorim v'zeh the time al zesh yesh l'mayla gimel adregus shahem l'kalam kolagulim hu ki kolagulim d'maylahem shvila avodas adam. Okay, I read a ways to try to see what the thought was going to be, but as I understood it, we'll go through it again quickly, or maybe more slowly, that the whole point of corresponding these three loves to these three levels of revelation, where all revelations stem from, is one of these three levels, is to help us in our service. The whole reason it was explained in that mimer, it all comes after understanding the concept of the three levels, and it continues that corresponding these three levels of three loves, it adds something in understanding the three levels to teach us that the whole reason that there is three levels upstairs that includes all the revelations is for our service. See how it works. It's interesting. It's a different idea. Kivin she'afta es Hashem she'ikar avoda, because loving Hashem, which is the primary part of our service, to be able to love Hashem is a tremendous accomplishment. As Rabbi Gordon, he's super good all the time, but to live in that place, person, some God forbid, person could care how Hashem treats him. Sometimes the person wants Hashem to give him money, or give him this, or give him that, or do what he wants. Okay. As Rabbi Gordon of Blessed Memory says, back with some Guf Gashmi and the Ultimate Redemption, the Gulish Lamita, it's much easier for a human being to relate to 7-layer cake and hamburgers than it is to God. So for a flesh and blood being who has, yes, a godly soul and an animal soul and an infant soul, to live in a place of loving God, it's a tremendous accomplishment. Not to live in a place of flesh and limits and worry and fear and physical pleasure, to transcend that space and pick God and have a palpable love of God is amazing, and an intellectual love of God is even amazing. Make good moral choices and be a stand of kindness community and lead the world and be the light unto the nations, etc. So that's the ultimate. There's no love there's no service like the service comes from love. And the ultimate tshuva, we're coming into Elul, which is a time for tshuva, is tshuva from love. If a person makes tshuva out from a position of love, you wouldn't say like that. But if the force behind his tshuva is love, because he loves Hashem and he wants to get close, so that can transform even the intentional not good things he did into merits, because it drives him closer and closer. A person can't do intentional not good things to get close, but should he, God forbid, have done them because his beast overwhelmed him or whatever it was, or her, and then says, "Oh, Tati, I'm sorry, I severed the cord, I want to be back, I want to be close, I love you," and push back, that force into getting closer, and the more oomph they'll have in their mitzvahs that stemmed from the missing God that came from not good deeds, is actually transformed to merits. Never play out in the human world, but if a person made a mistake, if a person made a small mistake in a relationship, I guess better keep it small, and God forbid hurt the other person, and it caused a separation, but then it caused them to pull deeper, I'm going to say it, caused a separation, and this separation made them realize how much more they love that person, and then they came back with a much greater force towards that person. That turns out to be something that empowers the relationship. It makes them go forward in a much better way. And so too with God. God wants us close, and He wants a relationship, and you do what He says. And the animal has to know God can help him. Alright. Yeshan Gimel Havos, there's 3 loves. That's the ultimate of our service. So there's 3 types of revelations upstairs. Mali Sove, Orin Social, Mali Masove, Shivatam Ligim Alavas and all. And that's why there's these 3 types of revelation that correspond to 3 types of love. Kivan Shavanas Indian Alborov, since the whole idea of understanding your creator, also Yesodi Shurshuri, so explaining them from their root and source, or his root and source. Okay, here's a beer, but my Mashikin Ojace, and Milahu. Ekshahem Gimel Havos, Kizash, Zilazash, and Imshal Gimel Dragas. The idea of understanding one's creator, and the love stems all the revelations. The more love a person has, the more revealed godliness he can experience. It's an interesting idea. I'm just worried if I'm translating it properly, but I mean, I could certainly see it. It could make sense to me. The more love there is in a relationship, the more the other person reveals himself, and lets the other person see him. And the more love we show towards God lets us see what's beyond. And I've noticed that the guys who love me the most can kind of see me even when I'm not around, and if I'm not around. So love does sort of let you. What seems like love lets you walk into the land of revelation, maybe more than fear. I guess fear kind of keeps you closed up, down, and out of trouble, which is good. Fear has to be the root, but you want to experience the high revelations and godliness. It seems like love is the key part. The more one loves God, the more he could experience these revelations, as I understand it. Alright, so let's work on loving God. Let's get the animal soul to understand God's creating everything around him, and God can help him and take care of him and take him where he needs to go. And let's get the godly soul excited that God's creating everything, something wrong with something from nothing, and let's not lose sight of that essential state where everything is one, and there's no lacking. And we could, as the Jews, we can touch that spot at any point, rejuvenate, get full again, filled up. Everyone should have a happy, healthy, successful, productive day, serve God.